All right. Hi, everyone. Let's see how we're doing. Okay, I think I'm live. Cool. So, um, welcome everyone to Rolling Scopes School, new, or I should say, um, another iteration of Node.js and AWS course. Um, Today's the kickoff session where I'll walk you through main concept that we need to kind of be aware of. Um, what is Rolling Scope School essentially? What we're going to do in Node.js in AWS course? What is the course content? How we're going to work with um, our applications that we're going to build for the rest of the duration of the course. The course was started at on Monday, uh, minus 9, and due to some technical difficulties, we had to reschedule the kickoff session. So hopefully everyone is again on board with us, and I shall um, officially start the learning process. So um, first things first, Rolling Scope School. Some of you are aware of what this school is all about, what is the developer community behind it. Some of you are not. So my first goal is to a quick run through what we're doing, what Rolling Scopes is, what from the learning perspective, then from the organizational perspective, and what we're not. So in essence, this is a community that has lots of people behind it, either learning something new or mentoring other people or playing a role of an expert, teaching other people. And this can be considered an open source project in terms of it's a free of charge and community-based education. Though we do have some kind of motto, I should say, and it sounds like paid forward. Yeah, might be a bit obvious for those of you who are not familiar with this. What we essentially do is like we come to the school, we learn stuff, and then we pay like back or forward after we are done. And this is considered like a open source contribution thing. Um, Started with JavaScript front-end development course, all done partially in English, mostly in Russian, due to the it's kind of like origins um, of the school. And now we are transitioning to fully English to expand our coverage for the community to enable people to learn because it proves over the years, like almost like 10 years of existence, that we're doing something great and we're actually delivering value. Myself, I started with Rolling Scope School, and here I am already paying it back to the school and teaching other people, mentoring, contributing, and just in general making my GitHub a bit more greener. If that's your goal, welcome after you finish the course or one of the courses to contribute back. So yeah, again, it's a free of charge community. Node.js in AWS. In essence, that's another run of an original course that was originally in Russian, um, and the goal is to enable people who are not familiar with AWS or not familiar with any cloud per se, enable those people to kind of learn, to get an understanding, a bit generic understanding of how cloud works and how do we integrate with cloud. In our case, that would be an AWS cloud, but it doesn't say anything um, like bad about any other clouds. So you can apply all those concepts that you learn here for Google Cloud or Azure Cloud or Alibaba Cloud. So it's a nice way of learning. Um, Another thing I would like to mention about the course is that it's not per se for people who are just starting out. Um, we mentioned that in um, one of the points before you join the course, that essentially you need to be aware of several different things going into the course because it's a Node.js heavy and JavaScript heavy, and it deals with some of the abstractions, some of the technologies that are not per se beginner friendly, though we try as much as we can to enable you and the whole community to actually be able to learn from scratch and build something from scratch. Um, but again, still a good knowledge of JavaScript, um, understanding of how TypeScript works, and in relation to JavaScript, um, good understanding of HTML, CSS, and in general web development is a must, I'd say. Um, a nice thing to have is kind of an intermediate level of knowledge of Node.js, although since we are building for the cloud, some of the concepts are advanced or intermediate level for Node.js are not per se applicable. Um, so again, when it comes to um, actually learning new stuff that we're going to be covering, it's essentially AWS and microservices. So if you hear those buzzwords and you think that you're going to learn, you're correct. We're going to learn a lot of AWS concepts, and it is a practical course, meaning that you do have access to some of the theoretical materials, but again, Rolling Scopes is all about learning while you go, on the go, um, and it's a community based. So AWS, microservices, all those things will be learned in practice. So if you're looking for some additional practice, if you are a person that was doing kind of the AWS preparation course, for example, for certification, or if you're just curious about those technologies, these opportunities that Rolling Scopes provides they are the the way for you to go. Um, there are several things that need to be mentioned regarding the organization of the course and Rolling Scopes in general. Um, you might be coming to Rolling Scopes for um, an interviewing opportunity at the end of the course. Um, it's it is a thing. We do provide some opportunities for you to kind of apply those skills further. Again, want to emphasize that the main one is to contribute. Again, once you learn stuff, contribute back to the community. But again, if you're looking for employment, it is discussable, and as you can see, upon successful completion of the program, some students, um, those who perform at the necessary level of kind of knowledge or success, I would say. So it's like a per student basis, and maybe some kind of rating system. They will get an opportunity to have a job offer after successfully going through an interview. So we're not saying that we're giving places at companies like EPAM and all those companies. We're saying that we will provide opportunities for you to kind of go through an interview and show your skills. It's not just a matter of having the highest score for the Rolling Scope School. It's all about learning. So again, please do focus on the learning aspect. Employment, either with us or with any employer that you're looking for, will come after. Though we do have some recognition system, we're offering certificates. If you are that kind of person that collects stuff and wants to show some completion of work for other people, so everything that a typical bootcamp program provides, we do provide. But again, it's all free of charge. It's all about learning. Um, the communication channels are typically Discord. I will show you around in a bit. Um, but um, another thing for you to know is that we can have um, a various different topics discussed in Discords, like on the person-person basis. But what we actually provide as a service is a Rolling Scopes school application. Um, so if you were to sign up with for Rolling Scopes course, um, this one in particular, you'll go through the process in one of the communities um, that we have access to. For example, if I click on the link to enroll, this is the community or the platform that we use to onboard people, to have some notification and registration lists, all that organization wise. But at the end of the day, you will end up using one of the tools that we provide as a service, which is a Rolling Scopes application. Um, Let me find the link from here. Um, let's just go this way. Rolling Scopes app. So it's a custom built tool that helps us and you to facilitate the learning process. It has a number of features such as scoring system, scheduling, review process with other people, and all that. Um, and again, so apart from just going through theoretical materials and that we have prepared for you, there will be an opportunity for you to kind of interact with other people through Discord and to assess your knowledge and get that actual scoring that will enable you to actually apply for the interview and go through employment process. This is all done through our own custom app, Rolling Scope School. Um, for example, some of the features that you can have in your Rolling Scopes application, I already mentioned that is a scoring system, which is a big table with all the people who joined and all the tasks that they've completed with some of the scores applied either by experts at Rolling Scopes community who overlook the program or by students themselves. Everything is randomly applied, so that sort of kind of collaboration is what is so great about what we offer. So again, this is how the application looks like. When it comes to delivering content on some of the um, deadline, stricter version of kind of learning process, we do have a schedule, and that schedule is integrated with the application. You will be able to see all the latest and greatest events and all the deadlines for tasks, um, and thus kind of see the way that the program is going and be aware of the rest of the stuff that is happening in the school without actually monitoring 24/7 all the Discord channels. Yeah, just finishing up with how the application is handling schedule. Each of the schedule item will have some notification denoting the number of items for that day. And if you expand that, you'll have actual links um, for the events, or some comments and descriptions for deadlines and your tasks. By clicking on those items, you will get the actual um, description or full description of the item with some links, some scoring information, who's going to check stuff for you, either with a mentor or expert checking the validity of the task, or other people. So that depends on the task. So I encourage you, if you do register with us, go through the application, click around. It might look a bit different from what you're seeing right now on the screen, but it does enable you to see most of the stuff that we use in our rolling scopes. Talking about Discord that I mentioned several times already, um, this is how it looks like. Um, so we have an active community of people talking with each other, solving problems, asking questions for admins. Um, so let's check out. So it should be available on YouTube after live as well. Yeah, it will be available. And yeah, so this is how it looks like. A big community, and as you can see, I have several of those communities already, denoting different kind of iterations of different programs that I've been part of. Um, and those who register, they will have access to GitHub. You'll see all the latest updates here. So it's a communication channel for me, for experts, and for you who actually join our program. But yeah, I'm sure everyone's familiar with Discord at this point. Um, Going back to our application, if you do encounter any kind of issues, or if you want to have more information available to you, um, you learn from asking for help, as with everything in life. We also have a help section. So if you have an opportunity to enter the application, we have access to our docs as well. And by the way, I think they are available even outside the application. Um, So anything related with the application itself will be described here. All the processes that we'll have will be described here as well as some of the information that you need to know about how Rolling Scopes works as a school. So yeah, do check it out. It's a really nice place to look at. So let's click around um, some links. Yeah, some of the content might be in Russian because, yeah, originally this is a Russian language-based program, project, I should say. But most of the content is getting translated. Again, we're living in 21st century, like 22 years already in the century. So um, I think you will be able to translate that to English. And since that's kind of um, just a description of what we do and all the like generic wording, nothing too difficult is described here. You will have an easy time just reading through the docs and learning the process and how it actually works. So don't be scared of like other languages. Happens to all of us, especially when you trying to solve some development program, you stumble upon some um, languages you don't even know about, and yeah, translation actually helps. That's all about the docs. Um, I need to mention some of the stuff that we have in terms of the checks. Um, in rolling scopes, we have several different ways to check for completion of programs. Initially, we started out by applying, like asking mentors to actually guide people through um, any of the courses that we provide, and they will actually actively do code review process. For example, this is the button that experts and mentors will see if they perform or if they work on the task that requires a mentor review. But that's just too time consuming for most of the people. And yeah, again, no need to mention that this is still a free um, learning opportunity for everyone. It's free for those or it's a free of charge or free of compensation, and for those who contribute from the other side of the program, meaning for experts and mentors. And that means that um, not every time will be able to provide the actual mentoring experience. But since we have so many wonderful people joining us, and especially today, um, I think you need to be aware of cross-check opportunity. I don't see this button here, but you will see that in your account once you register. But if I click around, not this one, but I think this one, let me check. Yeah, you will have a cross-check description. I suggest you to, once you kind of interested in the process of doing the cross-check, well, because it will happen from the next task in the program, do go through the docs, read through the process, how we do stuff. Uh, it looks like a lot of words, but it's just like for all the people that contribute to the program, to task review, to kind of be on the same ground. So we covered most of the stuff that does raise questions, but what it all boils down to is that there is a three process. It's a three-step process for a student perspective. You do the task and you submit it for review. At that point, you get assigned two or more people to review that already submitted their tasks. Once you do submit your review of their work, you will get the score. So yeah, three process: submit your work, do the code review for other people, and then get the scoring. That's to ensure that everyone's doing their part in terms of checking the work. So if you want to have your work checked, please do follow the rules and check other people's work. Otherwise, your score will not be available even if the person who reviewed your code had actually given you the actual score. So yeah, there is a check. Be aware of that. And it applies, as you can tell, for any program in Rolling Scope School. That's how we manage to provide what we provide, meaning the actual value um, in terms of education and sanity checks and collaboration for people. So apart just from asking questions how to resolve your own problems, you will be able to ask them directly through code review or get some feedback through code review. So that's that. Going back to the actual program, so at this point, I do feel like I've covered most of the topics that I wanted to cover regarding the school itself and the course. Um, I will check the questions once I'm done with everything that I wanted to cover going forward. But for now, I would like to focus on the actual content, the learning part that we provide, and how would I, if I were a student joining Rolling Scope's Node.js and AWS course, would actually work with a learning opportunity that Rolling Scope School provides. So once I'm registered through this system, so we are the community, and I get all the emails confirming that I actually registered, all the access links, etc., etc. I will get to the app itself, and from here I will be able to check the schedule, for example. So as a student, I would go to the first item, in the nearest future. For us, that was 2 days ago, but yeah, technical difficulties and all that. I would see the item in my schedule basically. I would go to the actual link that it was attached to, and I would end up in GitHub. in one of the repos that we promote as like a single source of truth for this program iteration, because again, um, we are giving Node.js and AWS course free of charge, but it's a part of a even larger initiative that several um, big people do run even outside Rolling Scope School. So I would click on this on the item in my schedule, and I will end up in the corresponding task. From here, I will be able to read through the entire material, but maybe I'm curious. I want to check the entire course. Um, if I go back to the main page, I'm sure you're all aware that each of the repos have README files that actually describe what this repo is all about. So if you're still unsure that you understand completely what you're going to be doing in this course, from the technical perspective, you can go to the main page of that repo. You'll see all the outlined tasks here that we're going to have throughout the entire duration of the course, and you will be able to read through the README. Um, some of the stuff that I already mentioned, requirements for starting, that's all right. Some of the resources, if you feel that you're lacking some of the stuff that I mentioned before is required. But again, if you're not discouraged by any of that, and you shouldn't actually be discouraged from anything in life, apart from illegal stuff, um, you will see that, yeah, there is a description of all the modules. You can easily click around through the course curriculum and go to any of the topics. For example, if I click on the integration with database, it would actually end up in the same README file um, that's almost the same looking like README file as I was um, redirected to from the actual Rolling Schools application. So this is an integration with database file, and I ended up here from the repo itself. But if I go back to Rolling Schools application, and I would kind of click around trying to find that same task. No, it's a serverless API. I need to go a bit further, and yeah, on June 13, I will have this task for me. I can see its score is pretty low, which like from my perspective, but I see that there is a score weight that applies some of the tasks, some of the scoring um, justification for the task itself. And I see they'll require cross-check done from the community, and also a cross-check count, meaning that I will have to review 3 people to go through this um, task successfully. Okay, I click around, and I think I'll end up in the same place. Yeah, it's exactly the same place as I was. Just a second, I think I lost the link. Here it is. So yeah, what it all boils down to is that there are a number of ways to get to the actual tasks and their description and what you need to do. You will actually have easier time navigating from the app. You'll actually know that this is a task that you need to work on for this particular deadline. So I highly suggest you to go through the application to access all the tasks. But once you do know what task you need to work on, let's review what we have in the actual task itself, what we offer as a course. So I can see that in this folder that denotes the name of the task, I have 2 files. Essentially, one is generic README file that is automatically picked up by GitHub and displayed on the screen at this level, and one is a task MD. Okay, as a student, I will go and look through all the stuff that is mentioned here. I will have some idea of what the goal of learning this task is, learning this topic is, essentially what I will end up knowing while kind of if I go through the task and complete all the work. I also have some idea of all the topics that I can Google to kind of get some idea of how to complete stuff and what I need to know to complete stuff. Um, and also, there is a section of materials. And just to prove the point for you, any task that we have in here will have the same structure. For example, yeah, let's go cloud introduction. Have the same structure, again, same goals, topics, etc., etc. I'll have the same structure of the materials. So, what do we have as materials? That's a must-watch and must-read sections. As the name goes, these are the sections that you kind of need to make sure that you go through just to have a bare minimum understanding of this topic that we are discussing in this task. So yeah, there is a node for you to kind of know what you are learning. And in terms of video materials, one thing we have um, a short description, lacking some of the wider details and more about kind of focused uh, thing on the task itself, how to complete, what to click around, pre-recorded, so you are free to go through all those videos, and they are available in English. So I encourage you to start from here. If you do know Russian, just for backward compatibility with previous runs, we still have access to all the videos in this series. Uh, they seem to be kind of more lengthy versions of what we have in English, but it's just due to the fact that we broke them down into several different topics in the English version. So yeah, I would go through all the videos that I see here. If I still see that I'm lacking some of the information, or if I encounter any errors during my learning process and the video content, um, and after I read all the stuff that is mentioned in the must read section, I still have access to additional information. Again, it is curated exactly for this particular task to kind of give you an idea of mm, topics that is discussed in this section. So it's a curated number of things, not necessarily related to or describing how to solve your particular task, um, but still a very useful information. So if I again encounter any errors or if I feel that I'm lacking understanding, I would go through additional materials in the video section, and same applies for the reading. Do mind that reading essentially gives you a bit more technical insight in how things work, whereas video content just gives you more visual understanding and has more pictures essentially. So if you are the person who likes watching stuff instead of reading, yeah, you'll have better time with video section. So again, just to prove the point that we do have the same structure, we'll go through initial course or introduction that we are having like this week and the next one. Um, Again, there are some videos for you to watch, quite a lot, but they're all like 1 or 2 minute long. So go through them. You'll get some understanding of the topics for the first week. Then, if you do know Russian, go through Russian. And also, I encourage you to go through the additional section. So, just to get your kind of um, get you started with AWS, because the first couple of tasks are quite important for you to kind of get going through. And that's, I think, that's it for the actual um, description of the program. Um, when it comes to doing cross checks, I'm sure that you're kind of fuzzy still on how exactly we need to do that. Again, encourage you to go and read through stuff that we have in the docs. If you still, yeah, again, fuzzy on understanding, you'll have a better understanding of what to click on and how it actually works. But for the first week, we don't have a cross check, and I know that because if I take a look at the actual task, I see that it is essentially saying something but not cross check. The task owner or the person who actually implements. That's it for the introduction of our Node.js in AWS course. There are a couple of questions that I know people are still um, asking in the chat or might be asking going forward since we are um, promoting you to kind of join, like encouraging you to join the program. And that is, do we provide any resources or do we provide any accounts for AWS? And for those who are not aware, AWS is a cloud. And by cloud, it means that it provides some way to run your code or do some computational stuff, not necessarily on your computer, but somewhere, and it's abstracted away from you. Um, the cloud itself is it's a paid solution, so you need to pay money for stuff to kind of work with. So it's like with a typical kind of offering, business offering. Um, but since we're a free of charge community, we don't provide you with an access to an AWS cloud. We don't provide it in the way of like a single account for everyone who's joined the program, and we don't provide on individual basis. However, AWS, for those who, again, not aware of how cloud works, most of the clouds and AWS in particular, they do provide some period free of charge for anyone joining. You do need to provide your credit card details or like any Visa, MasterCard details for them to kind of be sure that you will pay if you go above certain limits or if you pay after the like a Netflix subscriptions. Yeah, I'm sure you understand how that works. So don't be scared to go and apply for a new account or continue working with an existing account if you do already have AWS account. That's not uh, kind of a hard requirement for everyone to have access to your accounts. No, just keep them separate. The coding part and the cross-check part will not ask you for your credentials, any of that. Um, so it's completely up to you, and yeah, essentially you are responsible for stuff that you put in the cloud and how much money it will cost you. But again, don't be discouraged by that. AWS provides a 1 year free of charge for most of the services that they provide, given that you uh, register and give your card credentials um, to them. That's one of the questions. The second question is that for some countries, I know that that was um, that that is not necessarily connected with any recent events. That is still true for some of the countries around the world, regardless of what we as a world going through at the moment. So some of the countries don't have access to AWS. Um, we don't provide you with direct ways to bypass that, or we're not encouraging anyone to bypass that. So do check if you are able to go through our course with AWS, for example. Look for the help on their side. If they provide you with any solutions, that's actually awesome because you'll be able to go along with us. Otherwise, we are uh, unfortunately can't help you with anything regarding the access to AWS due to some location restrictions. So just be aware of that. And at this point, I think I'm nearly done with what I was going to say for the kickoff session. Now I'm just going to try accessing um, our live stream to see um, just for information. Oh, okay. So one of the questions, just for information, videos in Russian only available for Task 1. There is a problem with that, yes, but we do encourage people to go with the English version for a moment. Uh, any access issues will be resolved in no time. So again, like with initial launch on May 9th, um, access will be provided. That just takes time. I'm sure you understand that. Let me go to the actual comments and see if we do have any. I'll have to mute myself because I'll be able to hear double the sound. Okay, cool. Let's hope we do have some questions. Okay, when lesson starts, I think that was already answered. Hello everyone. How long is the lecture? I'm sure I'm almost done. Quick question, just joined this training you're giving. Can you please give high-level overview, please, so to understand I can rewatch video after live. Okay, I think I already done that. Hopefully that was helpful. Thank you very much. Everything is well understood and accessible even for those who cannot quickly transport English. That that is awesome actually, because then that was a one of the major concerns since again this is a free of charge, free to everyone, even the experts and coordinators of the program, um, and thus we're kind of restricted in how much time we can afford to um, spend contributing to the project. Uh, but yeah, it will all come to the actual conclusion, all the work and progress. Also, do kind of do understand that some of the lectures might be written or produced in a rush. We will be re-recording them like separately. We'll be doing some of the lectures again um, live, like we do now. Actually, that's a very good point. Thank you, anyone who mentioned that. Um, we will be doing Q&A sessions for um, some of the stuff that we are learning. Um, we are thinking of reviewing top or random people's code for the task itself to kind of give you an idea of how an expert view on the code might look like. Um, also, how much? Okay. Also, what I wanted to mention as well. Sorry, I'm kind of running out of breath a bit. Um, what I wanted to mention is basically we are going to record additional content for the school. This is the first time that we're actually launching in English this particular run in this scale. We're hoping to go fully in English in no time. So yeah, just stick around. Make sure you kind of make sure you basically learn in this journey because that's the main point for us. And give us feedback in Discord. Um, do talk with other people. That's one of the main um, opportunities that you guys have with Rolling Scopes is the community that we're building. And just to give you an idea of how much of a community Rolling Scopes is for any given course, for the earliest um, the earliest course that was actually done for front-end developers, and the one that is the most popular one. It gets people hired essentially in no time, like several months, and it also has some fast track programs if you are doing really good. That course is a very popular course. Like it could be over like 1,000 people joining that course and bubbling in Discord discussing stuff. So it's a vibrant community, and it's all free of charge, which is amazing for people who have been laid off recently, for example, due to um, some events in their lives, who want to switch to a different profession, who want to have access to real programmers doing real job. Because, for example, in my case, I do have a full-time project workload, uh, and this is just a kind of out of hours for me. And that is applicable for anyone who, for any mentor, for any activist who is doing their part in Discord. They all have real world experience, which sometimes not the case for universities and other boot camps that may be lagging behind. So what we're trying to do here is to provide the best type of learning experience for you guys. So this is the main goal. Okay, so we'll do some reading of questions. At this point, how much can cost using account, which was open years ago? Not much. Um, the workloads that we are going to build are essentially learning workloads. And when it comes to AWS, when it comes to any cloud provider, um, the costs can add up when you have lots of requests coming in, or maybe when you have a really big instances of resources, or when you have lots of them used. That which is not the case for us. We're going to build just a few services that are going to be interacting with each other. So costs will be not that much. And at the same time, you have admin root, not root because root is discouraged to use, but admin credentials, so you can control the entire thing. You'll get notified if you want to about the budgets. You can set budgets in your AWS, which is a bit more into details than I wanted to go, but yeah, you can limit yourself as much as you can with AWS, so don't worry too much about that. And they preemptively notify you if you go above a certain stuff, or like how much you're going to pay. So it's on a monthly basis basically. If I have no experience with TypeScript at all, can I take the course without it? Yeah, for sure. TypeScript, for those who are not aware, is just a superset of JavaScript, meaning that it's still a JavaScript just with some additional features. You don't need to be like a TypeScript savvy or any of that. And that is pointed out in our description. So basic understanding of TypeScript is recommended. Um, yeah, but for some people it just takes like 1 or 2 days of just using like watching some videos about TypeScript and they're good to go. Again, still same old JavaScript. You have been recursive. Okay. Any guide for setting up serverless YAML for my own AWS credentials? I kind of don't know what you're talking about in terms of for your AWS credentials. We'll have an overview somewhere around next week about everything you need to know about credentials. But at the moment, I don't see any automation connections with AWS credentials that you might be pointing out, or at least that's not a requirement for the course. So what is the goal of this course? The goal of this course to teach people and show people what it is to be deploying resources for AWS, doing serverless, doing Node.js with AWS and all that. Why? Some people lack that knowledge at all. They don't know about cloud. They don't know about Node.js that much. With serverless, with our course especially, we're going to shine some light on it. For those who are aware of Node.js and AWS in particular, this course is just a nice way of um, learning stuff and how it's done um, kind of production wise, and a community for people to share their findings so you're not alone in this one. So by the end of the course, you will be familiar with stuff that some production level engineers not familiar with per se, because we cover a lot and give you practical experience with that. Do I have an opportunity to get a job at EPAM after successfully completing the course? You will have an opportunity to get a job at EPAM after successfully completing an interview with EPAM. That applies for anyone, um, those who coming from this Node.js and AWS course, or those who come from a different company, for example, or just from the market itself. So we provide you with um, sometimes needed communication channel with people actually working or having connections to EPAM. Thus, you will be more visible for interviewers in terms of we actually know and see your code per se. So that is a plus. If you think that's not enough, learning that you get from rolling scopes in general, not just from this course, get you far because a lot of people at APAM, for example, or some other Eastern Europe based companies that are already benefiting from rolling scopes have a lot of people that originally went through rolling scopes. So trust me on that, it's a really nice way of getting your foot into an interviewer's door and successfully completing that. They said about that at the beginning. Okay, yeah. When course started 2 days ago. Yeah, technically course already started. Um, Technical difficulties plus just in general opportunity for you to kind of look around, see what we offer and what the community is doing in Discord was the main reasons for us to kind of postpone the kickoff session. So, but yeah, again, who am I kidding? It's just technical difficulties. Um, but yeah, deadline for the first task, which is fairly simple task from from my perspective might be, but in general, it's a fairly straightforward task. The deadline is in 2 weeks, so 1.5 week from from this point. So it's plenty of time for you to kind of settle with everything, like credential wise, school wise, etc., etc. Get an idea of the community again, of this live event, and also with like some application that we offer. Uh, what what he teach in last two previous tapes? Topic name. I don't get the question. Era School more about self-studying. We have the module with task and info for a week. Yes. The difference between a rolling scope school and just doing self-studying on your own is one, which is the most important, the community. Two, guidance. For most of the people, maybe for younger ones, that's not really the case, but for someone who lived some years already, the main pain point is focusing and doing stuff in the most efficient way. If Sometimes that's because of lack of time, sometimes that's because basically lack of experience in this particular field. So you don't really know what to do, what to learn, what is good, what is bad. We in Rolling Schools, we provide that guidance and we provide you with a community to ask questions around, to feel socialized. Uh, just imagine how important this aspect, that these two aspects alone were during pandemic times where we actually had people chatting and having fun time and streaming from home with some videos. So that is the main purpose and what we provide. Throughout the course, we will build on top of the default app provided in task one, or will there be a task where we set up the whole project from ground up? That was actually what I was referring to, just the other level, more higher level, when I said that you don't need per se a lot of experience with what we're already building, like React or Node.js, or any of the frameworks that you want to use, because some of the stuff is already provided, and that is done because you need to focus on learning exactly Node.js in AWS, meaning how we interact with AWS, how we do deployments, or like how we do infrastructure, that sort of thing. Nobody's interested in like setting up a webpack for a front-end project or some kind of stuff like Express server for Node.js just to learn at the end of the day some AWS because that takes time. Again, it all boils down to how we provide services as a rolling scope school. It takes time and mental energy to look around, prepare for learning process. What we do, we guide you through the process and we provide with tools. The less time you spend on tooling, more time on learning, the better you learn. Can I use Angular instead of React? Yeah, everything in the description, of course, one suggests that you can actually go and use whatever language or framework or library, because that is a more correct way to say that, you like. So yeah, one thing to mention, maybe I would mention that, but still, at the end of the learning part of the task, you have a link to the actual assignment. You have everything that you're going to need nicely laid out in steps. Some of these steps that I'm aware of, people have questions, might be in Russian, but again, if you just use translation, they'll be fine. We'll be updating that anyway. But yeah, one of the points is, yeah, in the very first task, you need to decide what framework would you like to use. Again, that's for your kind of learning process. If I open any of these links, I will end up in the already prepared version of front-end application. So Shop React, Redux, CloudFront, Shop Angular, and Shop Vue. Our community developed that. You're free to adjust to your liking to some extent. Just be aware of the consequences it might take for you to kind of go along with the course. But yeah, we have opportunity to go with three of the main frameworks. Okay. Um, are we able to build an iCloud service of successful completing the service? I don't actually know you mean the iCloud or a cloud cloud service, but yeah, just to have a short answer, yes, we will be able to build a typical or to develop any feature that e-commerce websites in cloud or in AWS cloud require. And yeah, from ground up a service, yeah, because you will have the actual application for you prepared already. How many scores do we need to get an average for job offer from EPAM systems? Um, the scoring, I would suggest you to not focus too much of your time on scoring, but more on learning. We don't get stuff because of the score in life. We do because we know stuff. What I can give you as an example that might help you to kind of understand how it goes is this table will be used, and this table will provide us as a company with a way to see who's doing how. So this will be sorted, and at some point we'll decide that okay, some of the people at the first um, uh, n list of people will be uh, proposed with an interview. Then on the case-by-case basis, we'll go through the rest of the people and judging by the capacity and some stuff, we'll be able to um, go through the list even further. So there are no kind of top score requirements. The only requirement is to go as far as you can and get at least something in the table in every task. So yeah, just be mindful of that. Is it possible to complete next? Is it possible to complete next task ahead, or it is important to follow main course flow according to the schedule? Up to you. Just be aware that you won't be getting a score unless you get the review done for the people. And if you are too far ahead, you won't have anyone to review. But we encourage you to go through the rest of the course if you have opportunity. Again, you might encounter some lack of content at some point in the course because it's still a developing process. But yeah, all the additional materials are there. You can go through them. I encourage you to do as much as learning as you possibly can. And one of the ways for you to contribute at this point already, even until you like before you finish the course, is to go to Discord chat and answer questions because we have lots of them in general discussions or for every different task. That will facilitate your learning as well. The first task are theoretical and focus on knowledge AWS. What about fix, update the code, especially for who didn't have enough experience to write code for e-commerce in React? I don't think I understand the question correctly. Some of the stuff that we're learning is theoretical because with AWS Cloud, inevitably there is a necessity for people to learn new stuff. Even those who already experienced with the clouds, we're still learning. So theory, if you like lack experience going through theory, I'm afraid going forward with like any high level topic or high end topic might be a problem. So just get used to that. That's my advice. It's just a realistic advice. It won't be sugarcoating the learning process too much. Are there any ways to get around limitation when creating an AWS account using a Russian Belarusian credit card? Um, I can say that you can follow some of the advice that AWS gives you on that regard. You can just ask in the chat how other people are managing to do that. I'm afraid, personally, I don't really know. And as a school representative, I won't be able to answer anyway. So we'll be able to use projects created during the course in our portfolio. Yeah, it's an open source. If you're not directly contributing to the video or reading content of the course, you'll be in like the complete kind of ownership of your stuff. So, and yeah, again, that's one of the points, actually. A really good question. Um, Everything that you do here will make your GitHub a bit greener than it was before. So, and if you do really good, if you spend some time writing good code, adjusting it to the best practices, you will be able to showcase that in the interview. And that's actually one of the cases that we do in other courses. It's just easier because of the content, but again, um, you can bring your laptop on the interview, for example, even with EPAM, you can showcase what you've done, or you can just share a link so that the interview will open it. And yeah, that will be a really nice and strong start of the interview process. It will cover most of the topics. Showcasing your work is always a good thing. How much time per week will the course take? Is it easier than front-end course? Not necessarily. Um, Let me just go back to the root of the program. So if you read carefully through the main README, you'll you'll be able to see that it is a contribution, even on a time basis. So it's like 20 hours per week. Uh, different differences, like personal differences, apply again. Some of them might influence or might help you to learn quicker, or maybe slower. So, but on average, 20 hours per week, it is essentially a requirement. Um, answering the question about um, is it easier than front-end course, depends on where you stand in your development career. The front-end course was essentially developed for people who are completely new to IT in general. This course is developed with some experience in mind. So you are required to have a good understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. With that comes some of the tools that we use along with in our IT day-to-day job or career. Some of the experience with other tools is also a recommendation. So depends. Actually, honestly, I can't kind of connect the difficulty level with them. I would say that it is as interesting as the front end course because it's not that visual, but still the technology behind AWS and how Node.js interacts with AWS is actually really nicely done. And AWS as a cloud in general, it just feels like a really high-end tool if you get to click around, see how it interacts, how your process is working, how your code is executing. That's also some of the part of learning. So, mm, and someone with foreign credit card and pay back to their um, so yeah, guys, encourage you to kind of look around, go through support with AWS. That's one of the ways to solve any issues that you have with their end of the kind of service. And yeah, ask around and chat. The school won't be providing any ways for you to bypass any of the checks, and that's because of the legal constraints. So do just remember that even when you asking around. And with that, I think we're done. So thank you everyone who joined today's session. I wish you really nice learning experience with rolling scopes. I hope you stick around as much as you can, as much as you want to. But I just hope that again I was able to kind of get you interest up, basically. So yep, thank you and have a nice rest